from the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast.
A tax plan rolls out of Washington.
Our tax code has become a constant source of frustration.
What does it mean for agriculture and agribusiness? Looking at the bigger picture of the U.S. economy.
And so if you look at your 401k, you see it going up every day, and you look at your farm, you say, how are we losing money?
New data is out looking for retail beef prices and what it means for cattle producers. And right along as these Oklahoma cowboys celebrate the legacy of the Chisholm Trail.
AgDay, presented by the Chevy Silverado. High-strength steel for high-strength dependability.
Good morning, I'm Clinton Griffiths. After failing to get health care reform through the Senate, attention now turns to reform of the nation's tax code. And farm groups are hopeful it could signal the death of inheritance taxes and lower tax rates for farm and ranch businesses. President Trump was in Indianapolis Wednesday to roll out his plan to overhaul the U.S. tax code. This would be the first major rewrite of tax rules in 3 decades.
We will protect our farmers, our ranchers, and our small businesses, and we will make taxes simple, easy, and fair for all Americans. Our country and our economy cannot take off like they should unless we dramatically reform America's outdated, complex, and extremely burdensome tax code. It's a relic. Got to change it. We have to compete with other countries. The current tax system is a colossal barrier standing in the way of America's economic comeback.
As a starting point, the president wants the Republican-led Congress to cut the corporate tax rate from nearly 40% down to 20%. The president says by doing so, it would incentivize corporations from shipping jobs overseas. The GOP says it would reduce the number of tax brackets from 7 down to 3. And for the lowest income earners who pay federal taxes, the blueprint would double the standard deductions.
Cutting taxes on hardworking Americans so that you can keep more of your own hard-earned paycheck. Simplifying the tax code so that you can file your taxes on a form the size of a postcard. Reforming our tax system so that businesses, particularly small businesses, can gain a competitive edge on our foreign competitors.
Indiana farmer Kip Tom was invited to attend the event in Indianapolis. He spoke to the president about the need to make changes to estate taxes. Critics call it the death tax, and some farm groups say the inheritance tax is so burdensome, some families have to sell off a portion of their farms to pay for the taxes when it's passed along.
But that great heritage could come to an end because of the death tax or the estate tax, and could make it impossible for him to pass that legacy to his wonderful family. We're not going to let that happen. We are not going to allow the death tax to steal away the American dream from these great, great families, many of which are in this room today.
American Farm Bureau Federation President Zippy Duvall saying in a prepared statement that, quote, Farm Bureau is encouraged to see that this framework includes important principles such as lower tax rates for individuals who own businesses, the elimination of the death tax, and some business interest deductibility. In other news from Washington, the EPA has opened a comment period to get feedback on its plan to reduce the amount of biodiesel blended into the fuel supply. That's counter to what Congress passed in the Renewable Fuel Standard. The RFS requires the industry to use increasing amounts of biofuels. EPA's notice says it's targeting biodiesel and advanced biofuels because of an expired tax credit. The agency says losing that credit at the end of last year results in higher costs to blend the fuels to meet the RFS requirements. Now, the cut would be about 3% of current levels. While Syngenta is settling lawsuits with thousands of U.S. farmers over its Viptera corn seed, this does not bring an end to their legal woes with grain exporters like Cargill and ADM, nor does it settle litigation in Canada. Swiss-based Syngenta has agreed to pay $1.5 billion to thousands of farmers in class action lawsuit. Farmers sued the company over its rollout of a genetically engineered corn seed variety before China approved it for imports. Farmers say the loss of that market impacted corn prices. Now, the company's decision comes at a time when a state court in Minnesota is hearing testimony against Syngenta, and back in June, a federal jury in Kansas awarded more than $200 million to farmers in that state over the same issue. Now, many of the farmers didn't even grow the GE seed, but China had rejected millions of tons of corn because there was no way to ensure the shipments were free of the grain trait. Harvest continues to be top of mind across the country, but of course, life goes on even when the combine's running. Mike Hoffman has more. Today's crop comments. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Clinton. Harvest continues in Missouri. Our own Tyne Morgan sending these pictures in from near Adrian, Missouri. She says so far corn is running 30 to 40 bushels over average. Bean harvest is just getting started, but farmers tell her it appears they may see some of their best bean yields ever, and that's helping to improve the financial picture for 2017. And speaking of soybeans, the crop is not the main focus of this picture from Angie Cradable on Facebook. She took this harvest photo as her twins Ainsley and Ashley were heading to their first homecoming dance in central Illinois. They didn't want Papa to miss the party. Angie says it's been hot and dry there this season, but bean yields look good, coming in near 80 bushels per acre. And taking a look at the weather map this morning, you can see Maria offshore, just a tropical storm that's moving away from shore. The rest of it, lots of rain in the southern plains. We'll have details on that and your forecast coming up. First, here are some hometown temps.
Ever wake up wondering what does today's weather have in store? Well, with weather updates, it delivers the local forecast right to your cell phone each morning to make preparing for the day easier. Just text Weather 6 to 31313 to get started.
And we'll take a bigger picture look at financial and crude oil markets. That's next in agribusiness, and later, ride the Chisholm Trail as these cowboys recreate a frontier tradition.
AgDay, brought to you by the Enlist Weed Control System. More weed control, less drift and volatility, maximum yield potential.
Tommy Grisafi, Advanced Trading, our guest here at the Agribusiness Desk. Tommy, as we look at the kind of the major markets, our stock markets, crude oil, there has been a heck of a run. Let's just start with the stock market. All-time highs, day after day after day, it seems.
It's the complete opposite of what our growers are experiencing in grains and livestock. Very little volatility. If you would have told me President Trump was going to win and the stock market was going to go up as much as it did and never be volatile, and that we're about ready to get in a fist fight with North Korea, or maybe even a little more aggressive than that, I would have said, no, the stock market will go down. But it's not, and it's probably closing at record highs right now, or when you're watching this, check your 401k, it's probably higher than it was a year ago. For sure it is. It's probably higher than it was a month ago. But then we're stuck with a grower who's producing this commodity to feed the world. And so if you look at your 401k, you see it going up every day, and you look at your farm, you say, how are we losing money? Right. It's bothersome. You wish there was more balance where everyone was making money. And when we had $8 corn, the row crop guy was happy, and then the dairies and the cattlemen and the chickens and the hogs were like, hey, we can't feed $8 corn to an animal or to produce milk. So where's the balance? I don't know. But it's an interesting world we're living in right now, and the stock market doesn't stop, and you're starting to see some other things. Ask any grower how they're doing getting help. You can't find help that's sober on a farm and willing to work. And so with these storms that happen in Florida and Texas, if anyone in America needs a job and has ability and the traits, they're going to be building stuff down there for years.
They can go do it, yeah.
Yeah, so we're at full employment. And the people who aren't working, there's probably a really good chance they don't want to.
Yeah, what about crude oil? How does that play in as we get into harvest season? Those input costs probably going to go up a bit, I would imagine, but maybe that's not a bad thing?
No, I think growers made more money when their input costs were a little higher. I like when crude oil goes up. I like it for my friends in North Dakota. It's good for the economy up there. We'd like to see a $60 barrel of crude, get the pumps going up there, creating jobs up there again. It's good for America. We have a lot of fuel. Technology's changed. We have resources here. It's good for the world economy. I like trading crude oil when it moves. Maybe $50 is the new floor, but for years it's been the ceiling. And so crude oil's been going sideways for a year. We may break out to the upside. I don't know how much more downside we have. But higher energy prices over my history of trading tend to, a rising tide rises all ships, and hopefully we'll see something like that where maybe the rally that comes in grains later in the year is from overall energies increasing.
Interesting perspective. Appreciate it, Tommy. We'll be back with more Ag Day in just a minute.
Interested in spending a day with a trader? Call Tommy Grisafi at 800-664-4383. AgDay, brought to you by John Deere. Where can you find the most comprehensive inventory of John Deere certified pre-owned tractors, combines, and sprayers? MachineFinder.com. Sometimes the best new addition to your fleet isn't new. AgDay weather, brought to you by Kawasaki and the new Mule Pro FXR side-by-side. Ride like a boss with high-end styling and rugged capability.
Welcome back to AgDay. Here, meteorologist Mike Hoffman. Mike, looking at the map here midweek, we start to see some rain forming in the southwest, but cool fronts coming in up north.
Right, at least I don't see any widespread frosts or freezes out of those quite yet, which is some good news. So hopefully that allows some of those late planted crops to mature this time of the year. All right, there's the big feature on the weather map, a slow moving area of low pressure moving northward through the Rockies. That's going to keep the moisture in Texas, at least southern and western Texas, and it'll be moving slowly northward through the Rockies. Not a lot of moisture with this northern system, kind of a secondary cold front coming southward, but there will be some scattered showers with it, and not a lot of moisture along this first cold front. As there wasn't yesterday, there's not going to be as we head through the rest of today and tomorrow either. High pressure then building in behind that system there, and you can see Maria is quickly moving or being pushed out to sea ahead of that cold front. By tomorrow morning, still some showers and thunder showers from central Colorado southward into the Rio Grande Valley, and that's still the same idea as we head through this afternoon, although some of those showers and snow showers in the higher elevations moving into Wyoming as we head through the day today. And the next cold front off the west coast bringing some showers to parts of Oregon and Washington. There's the past 24 hours precipitation estimate. Adding in the next 36 hours, what we're going to see is a lot more over parts of Texas, parts of the Southwest, a lot more over southern Florida. Other than that, it's all light showers, a few scattered ones across the Great Lakes and also the Northeast and the Northwest. Snowfall is going to be confined to the highest elevations of the central Rockies. Over the past 24 hours, that's been the case. And what we add is going to be pretty minor over the next 36 hours, more than likely. There's the high temperatures this afternoon. The heat's being shoved southward, 80s and 90s, though, still in the southeastern portions of the country. 60s and 70s for highs today across the Great Lakes and most of the Northeast. Same idea out west, especially in the higher elevations. We're going to see some highs and lows in the 40s and 50s over the next few days. And you can see tomorrow morning there will be some 40s and 50s across the northern tier of states as well. Tomorrow afternoon, not looking too bad in the central plains with highs in the 70s, kind of comfortable, the heat and humidity being shoved farther south. That's all because of the jet stream and that trough that's digging in quickly to the Great Lakes, but you see how that kind of moves away quickly as well, replaced by a ridge for a while before the next trough comes in early next week. So things are moving from west to east for a change across the lower 48. That's a look across the country. Now let's take a look at some local forecasts. Heading out to Medford, Oregon, first of all, lots of sunshine and warm today, high of 87. Denton, Texas, humid with a shower or thunderstorm likely, high around 82. And Plymouth, Indiana, comfortable with lots of sunshine today, high of just 68 degrees.
And we'll check retail food prices and the impact on beef. That's next on Drovers TV. And later, grab your pack and a lively horse. We're hitting the Chisholm Trail with these cowboys in Oklahoma.
Unlock the power of ag technology this December in Indianapolis at the first ever Ag Tech Expo. Learn all about it at farmjournalagtech.com.
Drovers TV on AgDay is brought to you by QLF. For 40 years, QLF has been proud to support American farmers that feed the world.
And news from our corporate cousins at Drovers, consumers are paying less for red meat and poultry this year. And USDA's Economic Research Service says that trend will continue through the end of 2017. The agency expecting a moderate increase in meat prices next year.
Lower retail meat prices are the result of increasing supplies, and through August, USDA said the U.S. cattle herd was the largest since 2008. Excellent feed yard profits the first half of this year and an increase in feeder cattle supplies have put more cattle on feed and increased beef production more than 3%.
Henderson says total beef production this year is forecast to hit 26 billion pounds, the largest total since 2010. And Sterling Marketing is projecting beef production will grow another 3% in 2018. That's expected to add more pressure to calf and feeder cattle prices. Weaned calf prices are down 30% from just 2 years ago, and another 3% decline is expected next year. 2018 cow-calf profits are now forecast at roughly $75 per cow. Meanwhile, current feed yard profit margins are rebounding slightly according to the latest Sterling Beef Profit Tracker. A $2 rally in cash-fed cattle is pushing margins to about $43 per head at feed yards. The positive streak now lasting 45 consecutive weeks. Beef packers doing a little better, seeing an average return of $161 per animal. However, analysts say they expect break-evens to start moving higher.
In August, the producers did flip between making money to now losing money, and the break-evens are moving higher. So we've got approximately 114 September, it's going to be 120 by October, and we're projecting up to about 124 by December.
For feed yards, Sterling Profit Tracker is projecting an average profit of $186 per head in 2017. Now, cash profit margins for those cow-calf producers this year expected to average $126 per cow. That's about $50 less than last year. We'll ride along with these modern Oklahoma cowboys as they honor a tradition from the past.
Deciding whether to sell your old equipment? Well, Machinery Pete's Pick of the Week lets you stay informed on current market prices, allowing you to set the best possible price for your equipment. Text Pete 6 to 31313 to get started.
In the Country, brought to you by Kubota's M5 series, bringing new levels of comfort to hard work. Learn more at Kubota.com or visit your local Kubota dealer today.
There's still a lot of lore and romance left in the Old West. It was a way of life unique in many ways to the American cowboy. Well, this year, one of those iconic links to the lifestyle turns 150 years old. The Chisholm Trail. Dave Deacon with Sunup TV takes us on a ride.
I'm on a wagon train, taking these cattle to Kansas for a starter.
We reenacting this thing because it was great way back when. A lot of people don't get to do this.
The roughly 800-mile trail Jesse Chisholm pioneered 150 years ago took up to 2 months to complete, from southern Texas to the railheads in Abilene, Kansas.
One of the first lifeblood trails that took cattle out of a starved Texas to people that were desiring meat on the East Coast, and it holds countless stories of heroism.
The Chisholm Trail would eventually become Highway 81. And for a few weeks here in September, cowboys and many Longhorns are recreating the trip that Jesse Chisholm made 150 years ago.
I feel like it was one of the major trails, and it's part of history. I like to be part of it. You get to see a lot of country. Going along in a wagon is a good way to see America. You go slow, you got time to look at the countryside, the fences, the grasses, the people, the towns. You meet a lot of real nice people.
It's relaxing. You know, the world today, you know, it's zip, zip, buzz, buzz, you know, and you can do something like this on a half-broke horse. That's living. You get a horse back, you're halfway to heaven.
These riders will finish their 90-mile trek over prairie, crop, asphalt, and county road in about 10 days.
You get to ride with these people? My lands, that's worth a lot. You know, I mean, it's history. Think about it, man. I wish I'd lived back in them days.
What your imagination can't conceive, your eyes are just bringing it all back into how history was, and it was incredible.
But their romance for a foregone way of life is burning hotter than ever.
My name's John Wayne.
We get up at around 4 o'clock. We had breakfast ready to eat this morning at 6 o'clock, and I don't know what time we'll feed them this evening.
Today we went from the Sewell Stockade, which was a famous trading post on the Chisholm Trail, and then we'll be heading north to Medford for a big celebration parade, and then we'll be camping out a mile and a half east on Highway 11.
Hey, we need to cull this steer right here. Been a real deal too. We got Johnson grass over there 8 foot high. I think we left a couple over there, but we're gonna, after we get off, we're gonna go over and see if we can flush them out. Hey cattle, hey!
Well, they brought thousands of head of cattle up the Chisholm Trail, and that time in our history is a glamorous time for a lot of people. They want to be cowboys. Here it is 150 years later, we get to still live that dream that most people have, and it's very rewarding. When this is over, we'll have something to tell our kids about and stuff about traveling the Chisholm Trail when it was 150 years old.
From a Grant County road, somewhere between Jefferson and Medford, I'm Dave Deacon.
All right, thanks, Dave. And that's all the time we have this morning. We're sure glad you tuned in. Start your day with us. From all of us here at AgDay, I'm Clinton Griffiths. Have a great day in farm country.